go ahead and call this meeting to order. I have 9:32 a.m. It's August 12th, 2020. The sign-in roster has been passed around. Has anybody yet not signed the sign-in roster? Okay, I think everybody has. Okay, I'd like to welcome everyone to the second and final funding committee meeting for fiscal year 2020. The purpose of this meeting is to award grants by way of the Rural VFD Assistance Program. The first thing that I'd like to do in following our agenda is identify the voting members of the Rural Volunteer Fire Department Assistance Program Funding Committee. And I'll just start with, I guess, Don.
Don Galloway, I'm the Chief Operating Officer for the TFS Fire and Emergency Response Programs.
Wes Moorhead, I'm Assistant Director for Forest Resource Protection.
Les Rogers, Incident Response Department Head.
Okay, and I'm Jason Kenningham. I'm the Capacity Building Department Head, and I'll be serving as the presiding officer today for this meeting. We also have some TFS staff present today, and I'd like to allow them an opportunity to introduce themselves. Start right here.
I'm Emily Wall. I'm the program leader for the Rural Volunteer Fire Department Assistance Program.
I'm Chris Safford. I am Business Associate 1 for the 2604.
I'm Christy Hempel. I'm a business specialist and I assist with the capacity building.
All right. Thank you all for being here today. I greatly appreciate it. I'd like to extend appreciation to the funding committee for their input in making this program successful and guiding us to help fire departments throughout the state. And of course the staff, I cannot thank them enough for the preparation that has been done to get us here today where we can help fire departments. Okay, well, let me go over some meeting ground rules before we really get into the meat of the meeting. The meeting today is conducted as a formal TFS business meeting. It is customarily open to the public and visitors are welcome. However, given the ongoing pandemic and in accordance with current agency COVID-19 protocols, the meeting is being held without a provision for external attendees. The entire meeting is being recorded and will be posted on our agency website. A few ground rules. Grant approvals made at today's meeting are provisional and are contingent upon passing a final stage audit conducted over the next several days by staff and College Station. Following completion of the final stage audit, grant approval letters will be sent electronically and/or mailed to each grant recipient. The approval letter is our official notification that a grant has been approved. These grants are not official until the final stage audit is complete and approval letters are sent. One thing to note relating to grants through this program, purchases made in advance of an award are not eligible for reimbursement through the program. Moving on to Roman numeral 2 and our agenda, we review the minutes from the November 20th, 2019 funding meeting. You have those in your packet, we've provided those in advance. Do we have any questions regarding those minutes? All right, can I entertain a motion to approve the minutes as provided?
So moved.
I have a motion by Don Galloway. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Wes Moorhead. Is there any discussion regarding these minutes? Okay. I will now solicit a vote. All those in favor of approving the minutes as provided, please say aye. Aye. Okay. All opposed, like sign. And hearing none, motion carried. Okay. Now we'll move over to the special items of our meeting, and the first thing that we're going to go over is the outstanding inspection list. And I'm going to cover that today. Currently we have 8 outstanding inspections. And the majority of them are related to the fact that while they have not been completed is because the department has yet to take delivery. That's really the main issue for these 8 inspections. While the department submitted their reimbursement documents, we are ready to reimburse. They have not actually taken delivery of the equipment, and that is required in the program. We inspect on site at the fire department's facility. So we are in a good position. The field has been diligent to take care of the inspections, but alas, they need to have it on site before it can be done. So we're just waiting on the fire departments in these cases. And then I want to slide over to Emily Law, who will discuss the accomplishments for FY20 for our FFP slip-on unit grants.
Okay, funding committee members, you have a sheet like this in each of your packets. And this highlights our FY 2020 DoD Firefighter Property Program FFP slip-on unit awards. As you know, the FFP slip-on unit is an option that is available to those departments who receive a 5-ton deuce and a half or truck tractor through our firefighter property program. And so far this year, we've done a little over 60 FFP slip-ons for a total of 1.3 million. So a great accomplishment for that program.
That is great. When she mentions 60 FFP slip-on units, that results in 60 fire trucks put in service across the state. So that's a great thing. Okay, and moving on to Roman numeral 4, we talk about the grant funding. Today is a little different than our normal funding meetings. The first thing here I want to speak to is a review of our funding revisions. And what's important to know today is the state has indicated that all agencies may be required to return 5% of previous allocations for this fiscal year to address projected budget shortfalls due to COVID-19. At this time, it's unclear as to whether the agency will be required to return those grant funds. Therefore, we have 2 plans in place today to ensure any available funds are allocated to VFDs. And you'll hear that when Emily speaks to the awards. You'll hear it in the next document that she reviews. So we have 2 plans in place, which is a little different for us, but we're ready. So now I'm going to turn it back over to Emily to review our slippage calculation. But before I do, I want to talk about what slippage means, so you understand. Okay, when we refer to slippage, it is a projection of funds that will likely be available due to unused grant funds, such as we have fewer students attend a school or a recipient use less than awarded for a given grant. Therefore, in essence, we are over allocating in anticipation of this occurring. And we do this every year at year end. It's a strategy that we have in place to best utilize all grant funds. If funds are unavailable due to over-allocation, funds from the next fiscal year will be used to cover these allocations. So it's our best effort to make sure all grant funds are used each year. So Emily, I'll let you discuss the slippage calculation.
Okay. Funding committee members, you'll see you have a page in your folder that looks like quite a complicated equation that we go through to figure our slippage amount. And I just want to highlight a couple things on here. The first line up there, you'll see it says total awards for the period, $13,951,758.27. So that is the total awards for our fiscal year so far that we've awarded, and that includes those awards that are currently, still pending reimbursement, any awards where departments have returned some money, as Jason described, slippage, like for instance the training tuition, they didn't use all their funds. Now when we go down through there, you'll see about a third of the way down it says closed awards. So I take the total amount that was awarded and I subtract the amounts that were paid less than the original award total. And there were refused awards, which means awards that had to be turned back, they were canceled, or the departments weren't able to use all of the funds. And we come down to our actual paid amount, which is $3,596,526. Now, what's interesting about that, it shows us our percentage of paid under original awards, which is 14.79%. So we have a slippage percentage of about 15%. So if you go down about 3/4 of the way down the page, you'll see the highlight in yellow, and you'll see the slippage adjustment, which is the outstanding awards balance, the approved and notified, so those awards that haven't been reimbursed yet, less our trucks, because we rarely have much slippage on trucks, times our slippage factor of 15%, and we get our slippage adjustment of $446,379.56. So that is the additional slippage amount that we will add on to our allocation to make sure that we do our best to try to award all the funds. And now if you go down to the total available balance for funding, we have a projected available balance of $3,436,661 and some change. That in addition to, we have $2.2 million that we will be using today for our allocations, and then the additional 5% that is contingent upon us going ahead with that 5% once we receive the go-ahead on that.
All right. Very good. Any questions on the slippage calculation? Okay. Good job on that. Would you like to go ahead, Emily, I guess move over to the available funds, the allocations
Yeah.
for today?
So you have two allocation schedules in your packets. The first one, the highlighted total is $2,284,085. That is the total available that we will be awarding today. The second allocation schedule has that 5%, that $1,152,577. And you'll see as I go through today that those awards highlighted in green, those are our awards that are definite for today. And then the second set of awards highlighted in orange, those are our contingency awards. And with that, we'll go ahead and get with it.
Let me go over the approval.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. All right, so moving on to Roman numeral 5, I'm going to go over the approval criteria. So it's very clear as to how these applications are examined and how they are sorted on the funding list. And then once that's done, Emily will dive into proposing the awards today for the funding committee's approval. So when we look at the approval criteria, applicants for VFD assistance grants are evaluated and assigned a numerical score based upon the TFS Fire Department Assistance Applicant Rating Guide, a strictly objective review of each application. Funds are allocated geographically by region based upon the number of volunteer fire departments per region. The allocations are Eastern Piney Woods, 23%, Central Interstate Region, 55%, and the Western Range Region at 22%. Again, that's based on the number of volunteer fire departments per region. Okay, applicants are ranked relative to the region in which their county is assigned. TFS may, in its sole discretion, adjust regional allocations in order to achieve statewide program goals. Applicants are evaluated and approved as follows. All applications will be sorted and subdivided by region, category, which is the type of item requested, and their numeric rating. For applicants that have the same rating number, they're further sorted and subdivided by date of application. Applications in each region and similar categories within a region are considered under the following guidelines. Applications within a region are considered beginning with the higher dollar value categories and working downward. All right, and in order to ensure a wide distribution of funding, departments which are approved in one of our higher dollar value categories, such as a vehicle or a truck, a chassis, slip-on, they're not considered for additional approvals during the same funding meeting. Applicants may be skipped if they have received $10,000 or more in grant assistance during the previous 12 months. Training tuition grants are not part of this $10,000 prior approval calculation. During each funding meeting, a target budget allocation is provided for each region and category. These targets are used as guides to determine the amount of funding that can be provided within each category for a region. However, funds may be reallocated as needed to match approvals and identifiable breakpoints in the VFD's numeric rating. If a department has multiple requests in similar categories, such as a large chassis or a small chassis, approval may be granted for one request, with the department allowed to select its priority. If an applicant has applied for a truck chassis grant and a slip-on unit grant, the slip-on unit grant will automatically be awarded when the chassis grant is approved. The next topic is bonus points. All grant applications are eligible for bonus points based upon the age of the application. The bonus points are added to the applicant's rating number as follows. Beginning 12 months after an application is received, 0.5 bonus points will be added each month to the applicant's rating number. The maximum rating number any application may have is 120. A note about training tuition grants. The Capacity Building Department is authorized to approve applications for training tuition grants continuously on demand throughout the year. And we do that as quickly as possible. When we talk about FFP slip-on unit grants, the Capacity Building Department is authorized to approve applications for FFP slip-on units at the point an FFP 2.5 ton, 5 ton, or truck tractor is offered to an eligible fire department. These applications are approved continually throughout the fiscal year. A note on federal funds. Each year, TFS applies for and receives federal grant funds through the U.S. Forest Service. We utilize those federal funds for dorm lodging and meal cards at the Teagues Municipal Fire School. When available, federal funds are also used to extend additional grant awards in the PPE category. In order to be considered for federal funds, applicants must meet all of the following federal requirements. They must serve a rural area or rural community with a population of 10,000 or less. They must provide a valid DUNS number to TFS. And they must be identified as having adopted NIMS through the Texas Division of Emergency Management. For a DUNS number to be valid for federal funding, the number must be registered annually with SAM.gov, the System for Award Management. Upon award, grant recipients will receive an A133 certification letter that must be completed in return for final grant approval. A note about trucks. You will notice that the committee makes the bulk of truck awards early in the fiscal year, and that's to allow the build time and to assist with the slippage calculation that Emily reviewed later in the year. So we try to get those trucks in conversion state early. That's why we award them early in the year. Currently, funding meetings are held 3 times per year. One, of course, near the first of the FY, then again in or around March, and lastly in or around August. This year we are only having two meetings to allocate all of the funds, and that was in large part due to COVID-19, the impacts. But we are poised today to catch up for the meeting we did not have in March today. So with that said, laying out kind of the approval criteria for how we move through this this award process. Are there any input by the funding committee regarding any of this, or any questions? Okay. All right. With that, we'll move over to the proposal of awards, and that's, Emily, if you want to, I guess, jump into that, the most important part of the meeting.
All right, we will start on page 10 with the Central Interstate region in our slip-on and chassis category. Our allocation for this meeting is $263,812. Our highest viable rating in this category is a 120, and I'm proposing approvals through a rating of 112.15. And we will start down at the bottom of the page with Freeburg Cooper Volunteer Fire Department, $90,000. Runaway Bay Volunteer Fire Department, $90,000. Turn the page over to our small truck chassis. Matagorda Volunteer Fire Department, $45,000. We'll skip over Freeburg Cooper, they received a large chassis. Lacey Lakeview Fire Department, $45,000. And then we'll flip the page again over to our slip-on units. Ed Couch Volunteer Fire Department, $20,000. We'll skip Covington, they were awarded more than $10,000 the last 12 months. Platte Volunteer Fire Department, $20,000. De Leon Volunteer Fire Department, $20,000. Blanco County ESD number 2, $20,000. Williamson County ESD number 5, $20,000. Bono Volunteer Fire Department, $20,000. Greenwood Slidell Volunteer Fire Department, $20,000. Thornton Volunteer Fire Department, $20,000. And then we'll go over to our contingent awards. My allocation for this meeting is $133,123. My highest viable rating is a 112.03. I'm proposing approvals through a rating of a 110.98. And you'll see Pettis Toletta Volunteer Fire Department, they're in orange, so that starts those. And Runaway Bay Volunteer Fire Department, $20,000. And then if you go down the page, there's one other for Freeburg Cooper, I missed, I'm sorry, Volunteer Fire Department, that's $20,000. They received their chassis and they had a slip-on, so they were automatically awarded that slip-on.
So Emily, going back to that Runaway Bay chassis, that was a.
Yes, I skipped over that, but that was a contingent award as well,
So
so it was highlighted in
The
orange.
Runaway Bay VFD is a contingent,
Mhm.
the Lacey Lakeview is a contingent, correct?
Yes.
And then you, of course, mentioned Pettis, Toledo, and Runaway Bay as contingent.
Yes.
Very good.
Now we'll go over to page 14 for our fire rescue equipment category, which also includes dry hydrants. Our allocation for this meeting is $314,062. Our highest viable rating in this category is a 120, and I'm proposing approvals through a rating of a 116.98. The dry hydrants, we'll start with College Mound Volunteer Fire Department, $8,400. Callisburg Volunteer Fire Department, $2,400. Tow VFD, $8,400. Rio Bravo Volunteer Fire Department, $8,400. Flip over to Fire Rescue. Blackjack Volunteer Fire Department, Burleson County, $12,686. Shira Volunteer Fire Department, $20,000. Jefferson County ESD number 1, $20,000. Groesbeck Volunteer Fire Department, $20,000. Round Mountain Volunteer Fire Department, $20,000. Mineral Wells Volunteer Fire Department, $20,000. Brock Dennis VFD, $20,000. Cisco Volunteer Fire Department, $20,000. Bangs Volunteer Fire Department, $20,000. Callisburg Volunteer Fire Department, $5,750. Westlake Limestone Volunteer Fire Department, $20,000. Tow VFD, $20,000. Lake Brownwood VFD, $20,000. Bailey Volunteer Fire Department, $20,000. And Navarre County ESD number 1, $20,000. Then we'll move over to our contingent awards. Our allocation for this meeting is $158,479. Our highest viable rating is a 116.84. I'm proposing approvals for a rating of a 116.6. We'll start with Morgan Volunteer Fire Department, $16,250. Jolly Volunteer Fire Department, $7,715. San Felipe Fryedeck Volunteer Fire Department, $8,463. Ingleside Volunteer Fire Department, $19,253. Burnett Volunteer Fire Department, $20,000. Rio Hondo Volunteer Fire Department, $20,000. Alvord Volunteer Fire Department, $20,000. Salado Volunteer Fire Department, $20,000. District 2 Emergency Services, Inc., $20,000. We turn over to page 22 for our PPE. Our allocation for this meeting is $414,561. Our highest viable rating in this category is a 120. I'm proposing approvals for a rating of a 106.24. And we'll skip the first two because they've received over 10,000 in the last 12 months. So we'll start with Hallettsville Volunteer Fire Department, 15,000. Proctor Volunteer Fire Department, 7,560. We'll skip Round Mountain, they received fire rescue equipment. Rocheron Volunteer Fire Department, 15,000. College Mound VFD, 15,000. Southwest Bell County VFD, 13,500. Frost Volunteer Fire Department, 15,000. We'll skip Groesbeck and Tow, they both received awards in the previous categories. Angleton VFD, or Angleton Volunteer Firefighters Association, 9,000. Bartlett Volunteer Fire Department, 15,000. Blackjack and Shiro both received awards in the previous categories. Willow City VF&R Inc., 15,000. Needville Fire Department, 15,000. Madisonville Volunteer Fire Department, 15,000. Callisburg Volunteer Fire Department, 15,000. We'll skip down a few for receiving more than 10,000 in grant funding in the last 12 months. And we'll go down to Itasca Volunteer Fire Department, 15,000. Palacios Volunteer Fire Department, 13,500. Williamson County received a slip-on, so Edgecliff Village Fire Department, 14,400. Dahanas Volunteer Fire Department, 13,500. Sensaba Volunteer Fire Department, 15,000. Still Creek Acres Volunteer Fire Department, 15,000. Lone Camp Volunteer Fire Department, 15,000. The next three received more than 10,000 in the last 12 months. District 2 received fire rescues, so we'll go to Wilmer Fire Department, 8,460. Los Fresnos, 15,000. Waring VFD, 15,000. Kaufman VFD, 15,000. Robinson VFD, 9,045. Dale VFD, 15,000. TIG VFD, 13,500. We'll skip the next two for 10,000 in the last 12 months. Salt Creek VFD, 15,000. Bynum VFD, 10,800. Fulton VFD, 15,000. Now we'll move over to our contingency awards. Allocation for this meeting is $209,193. Our highest viable rating is a 106.08, and I'm proposing approvals for a rating of a 105.1. We'll start with Nassau Bay VFD, 15,000. Candalia VFD, 9,180. Lone Oak, Texas Fire Department, 15,000. Eagle Lake VFD, 15,000. Leona VFD, 15,000. Iowa Park VFD, 13,500. Gardendale VFD, Bear County, 15,000. Freeburg Cooper received a large chassis and slip-on, so we'll go to All-Time VFD, 7,560. Kema VFD, 15,000. Rock Island VFD, 15,000. Beat Ice VFD, 14,400. Seabrook VFD, 9,384. Aledo VFD, 15,000. Springtown VFD, 15,000. And Town of Laguna Vista Fire Department, 13,500. Now we'll go over to our last category that starts on page 28. That's our training category. Training aids. And our allocation for this meeting is $263,812. Our highest viable rating is a 120, and I'm proposing approvals to a rating of a 93.45. We'll skip Hallettsville because they received PPE. We'll go down to Bertram Fire Department, 10,000. Greenwood Slidell received a slip-on unit, so we'll go to Somerville County Fire Department, 10,000. Cisco received fire rescue, so we'll go down to Turtle Creek VFD, 5,022. Nakona Rural VFD, 10,000. Terrell VFD, 9,200. Lampasas VFD, 7,000. Ellis County ESD number 1, 10,000. Able Springs VFD, 10,000. Forestburg VFD, 10,000. Taylor VFD, 5,000. Rivers End VFD, 10,000. McMahon VFD, 10,000. Howell VFD, 10,000. Chico Community Volunteer Fire Department, 10,000. Levita VFD, 10,000. Henley VFD, 10,000. Bergheim VFD, 10,000. Burke Burnett VFD, 10,000. Lake Arrowhead VFD, 10,000. Pretty VFD, 10,000. Dog City VFD, 10,000. Boyd Fire Department, 10,000. Santo Volunteer Fire and EMS, 10,000. Beasley Community, 7,500. Briar Reno, 10,000. And now we'll move over to our contingency awards. Our allocation for this meeting is $133,123. Our highest viable rating is a 92.13, and I'm proposing approvals through a rating of an 85.87. We'll start with Angleton Volunteer Firefighters Association, 10,000. Alton VFD, 10,000. City of Milano VFD, 10,000. Marion VFD, 10,000. Fairchild Volunteer Fire Department, 10,000. Cockrell Hill Volunteer Fire Department, 10,000. Hearn VFD, 10,000. Jewett VFD, 10,000. Blue Water Oaks VFD, 10,000. And Dalworthington Gardens Volunteer Fire Department, 10,000. And that completes, that was 122 awards for the Central Interstate region. Now we'll move over to the Eastern Piney Woods. We'll start on page 37 with the slip-on and chassis category. Our allocation for this meeting is $110,321. Our highest viable rating in this category is a 112.79, and I'm proposing approvals through a rating of a 108.37. And we'll start with Tennessee Colony VFD, 45,000 in the small chassis. We'll move on to the other awards in green on the next page. Lone Star Volunteer Fire Department, 20,000. Highland Volunteer Fire Department, 20,000. Sims Volunteer Fire Department, 20,000. And St. Augustine Volunteer Fire Department, 20,000. And then we'll go over to our contingency awards. Our allocation for this meeting is $55,669. Our highest viable rating is a 108.19, and I'm proposing approvals through a rating of a 108.06. And so back over to the small chassis, Brownsboro VFD, 45,000. And then back to our slip-ons, Pritchett Volunteer Fire Department, 20,000. And Brownsboro VFD, 20,000. Now we'll go over to page 39, and then the next page for our fire and rescue equipment category. Our allocation for this meeting is $131,335. Our highest viable rating in this category is a 120, and I'm proposing approvals through a rating of a 116.5. Kennard Volunteer Fire Department, 20,000. Toole Volunteer Fire Department, 20,000. Jackson Heights VFD, 20,000. Laneville VFD, 20,000. Cooper Volunteer Fire Department, 20,000. And Lamar Point Cavaness Emberson VFD, 16,925. Now we'll go over to our contingency awards. Our allocation for this meeting is $66,273. Our highest viable rating is a 116.37. I'm proposing approvals through a rating of a 115.06. We'll start with Tigertown VFD, 16,250. Coffee City VFD, 16,250. 5-Star VFD, 14,000. And Harleton Volunteer Fire Department, 20,000. Now we'll go to page 43 for our PPE category. Our allocation for this meeting is $173,362. Our highest viable rating in this category is a 120, and I'm proposing approvals through a rating of a 104.89. We'll start with Van Sant Midway VFD, 15,000. Pumpkin Evergreen VFD, 15,000. Shepherd VFD, 15,000. Font Community Center VFD, 15,000. Chapel Hill Fire Department, 15,000. Grapeland Volunteer Fire Department EMS, 9,900. Danby Volunteer Fire Department, 15,000. Holly Lake VFD, 15,000. Alabama Coshawta Indian Nation VFD, 15,000. Saratoga VFD, 15,000. Jasper County Tri-Community VFD, 8,697. Liberty VFD, 10,800. Diana VFD, 15,000. Now we'll move over to our contingency awards for PPE. Our allocation for this meeting is 87,481. Our highest viable rating is a 104.68, and I'm proposing approvals through a rating of a 104.39. We'll start those with Elysian Fields VFD, 15,000. Holiday Lake Estates VFD, 15,000. Porter Springs Community VFD, 15,000. And Thunderbird VFD, 15,000. We'll move over to page 46 for our training aids. Our allocation for this meeting is 110,321. Our highest viable rating in this category is a 115.61. I'm proposing approvals for a rating of 85. We'll start with Apple Springs Volunteer Fire Department, 10,000. Zavala Volunteer Fire Department, 10,000. Gilmer Volunteer Fire Department, 10,000. New Boston Volunteer Fire Department, 10,000. Avenger Volunteer Fire Department, 10,000. Trinidad Volunteer Fire Department, 10,000. Lake Palestine East Volunteer Fire Department, 10,000. Arbala Volunteer Fire Department, 10,000. Edom Volunteer Fire Department, 10,000. And Chandler Volunteer Fire Department, 10,000. We'll move over to our contingency awards. Our allocation for this meeting is 55,669. Our highest viable rating is an 85, and I'm proposing approvals through a rating of an 82.69. Cumbie Fire Department, 10,000. East Mountain Volunteer Fire Department, 10,000. Brinker Volunteer Fire and Rescue Department, 7,000. Myrtle Springs VFD, 10,000. City of Big Sandy Volunteer Fire Department, 10,000. And Gladewater Fire Department, 10,000. And that concludes our awards for the Eastern Piney Woods. We have 51 awards. Now we'll move over to the Western Range, to page 51, to our slip-on and chassis. Our allocation for this meeting is 105,525. Our highest viable rating in this category is a 120, and I'm proposing approvals through a 118.21. And we'll start with the awards in green. Coleman Volunteer Fire Department Inc., 90,000 for a large chassis. We'll turn the page over to our slip-ons at the top. Bigfoot Volunteer Fire Department, 20,000. Cherry Creek Volunteer Fire Department, 20,000. Hoover Volunteer Fire Department, 20,000. Moore Volunteer Fire Department, 20,000. And Coleman Volunteer Fire Department, 20,000. If we go back over to the large chassis, our contingency awards, we had an allocation for this meeting of 53,249. Our highest viable rating in this category was a 115.58. We're proposing approval for a rating of 115.58. We were able to award a large chassis for Moore Volunteer Fire Department for 90,000. Now if we go to page 52, the next page down at the bottom, our dry hydrants and fire rescue equipment. Our allocation for this meeting is 125,625. Our highest viable rating in this category is a 120. We're proposing approvals through a rating of a 109.74. We'll start with Stratford Volunteer Fire Department, 8,400 in the dry hydrants. And we'll turn it over to fire rescue. And Brady Volunteer Fire Department, 20,000. Tulia Volunteer Fire Department, 20,000. Dimmitt Volunteer Fire Department, 20,000. Pecan Creek Volunteer Fire Department, 20,000. Fort Stockton Fire Department, 20,000. And Miami Roberts County Volunteer Fire Department, 20,000. Now, in our contingency awards, our allocation for this meeting was $63,392. Our highest viable rating is a 109.24. I'm proposing approvals through a rating of a 107.84. We'll start with South Ector County Volunteer Fire Department, $15,000. Lake Tanglewood Volunteer Fire Department, $20,000. And Sandia Volunteer Fire Department and EMS, $20,000. Our next category is PPE on page 54. Our allocation for this meeting is $165,825. Our highest viable rating in this category is a 120. I'm proposing approvals through a rating of a 105. We'll start down at the bottom in PPE with Dilley Volunteer Fire Department, $9,000. Gardendale Volunteer Fire Department, Ector County, $13,500. Eula Volunteer Fire Department, $15,000. City of San Diego Volunteer Fire Department, $15,000. Duval County ESD number 2, Benavides Volunteer Fire Department, $7,560. Mason Volunteer Fire Department, $13,642. Terlingua Fire and EMS, $14,400. El Dorado Volunteer Fire Department, $13,500. Fridge Volunteer Fire Department, $15,000. Cross Plains Volunteer Fire Department, $13,500. Headley Volunteer Fire Department, $15,000. Sonora Volunteer Fire Department, $15,000. Now we'll move over to our contingency awards. Our allocation for this meeting is $83,677. Our highest viable rating in this category is a 104.42. I'm proposing approvals through a rating of 100. And we'll start with Littlefield Fire Department, $15,000. Skellytown Area Volunteer Fire and EMS, $15,000. Santa Ana Volunteer Fire Department, $13,500. Great Creek Volunteer Fire Department, $14,850. Water Valley Volunteer Fire Department, $15,000. Now we'll go down to our last category, our training category on page 56. Our allocation for this meeting is $105,525. Our highest viable rating in this category is a 120. I'm proposing approvals through a 120. We'll do Stratford Volunteer Fire Department, $10,000. Dilley Volunteer Fire Department, $10,000. And then we'll move over to our contingency awards. Our allocation for this meeting is $53,249. Our highest viable rating in this category is a 120, and I'm proposing approvals through a rating of a 111.73. Ira Ann VFNR, $10,000. Idalou VFD, $5,500. Snyder Volunteer Fire Department, $340. Pleasanton Volunteer Fire Department, $10,000. And Hereford Volunteer Fire Department, $10,000. And that concludes the awards. We were able to do 214 awards total today. We called out.
Okay, very good, Emma, thank you. Funding committee, are there any questions about what you've seen today? Any questions at all?
I have one question. I'm just curious. So on the truck chassis on page 51, contingency for Moore Volunteer Fire Department in Frio County. There were contingency for 90, but then also because of that, they would be getting a, I guess, truck chassis. I mean, slip-on.
The slip-on came up first.
Okay.
So they're guaranteed that slip-on. If the chassis would have come up first, they would have been guaranteed the slip-on with the chassis. But because the slip-on came up first, and then it's contingent upon that 5%, they can get that chassis.
And but they'll still get the chassis, whether the contingency for the truck. I mean, they'll get the slip-on, but not.
They'll get the slip-on definitely, yeah.
Okay.
We hope to get the truck.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and that's what I was.
Yeah, good, great question, yeah.
Very good. Any other questions?
No, I appreciate the hard work, and also I know with getting down to the end of the fiscal year, just the amount of time involved, having to have a meeting now to be able to do the due diligence on the awards before they go out, go through the files, et cetera, and so forth. Greatly appreciate the time and effort and by everyone.
Thank you, Don. Okay, Okay, with that, can I entertain a motion to approve the proposal of awards with available funds that we have, and as well as those contingency awards laid out today, if those funds come back to us? Can I entertain a motion?
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion by Don Galloway. Any discussion on that? Motion? Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second.
A second by Les Rogers, to approve the proposal of awards with the available funds and those contingency awards if funds come back to us to do those. All right, and then I'll solicit a vote. All those in favor of this motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carried unanimously. A reminder, the grant approvals made at today's meetings are provisional and are contingent upon passing a final stage audit conducted over the next several business days by the staff here at College Station. Upon final approval, grant award letters will be sent electronically and/or mailed to each grant recipient. The approval letter is our official notification that a grant has been approved. These grants are not official until the approval letters are sent. I'd like to encourage anyone watching this video that's posted on the web to also utilize our Helping Hands program and our firefighter property programs to help fulfill the needs that you have for your department. We'll be glad to help you with some of our other great programs. All right, and do we have any other business to discuss here today? Okay. All right, I'm hearing none. I'll end it with a statement of appreciation. If we could fund every request that we had on file, we would definitely do so. We are thankful that this program has been retained by the legislature each session, and it allows us to help volunteer fire departments throughout the state. We understand that VFDs are the front line of defense in our state. Without fire departments, our programs would not exist. We know why we are here, to help our fire departments. We will do everything possible to help you be successful. It is our honor to manage this program for the benefit of the fire service and in our shared mission to protect life and property. The only other thing that I failed to mention is the next funding meeting date. I have tentatively October 14th. Is there any problem with that? We can always move that around. We'll post it on the web so everybody has visibility on this meeting date. We always post our funding meeting dates. We make a notice on the web 2 weeks prior to the meeting, okay, for full visibility. But again, all right, thank you very much for being here today. We're honored to serve the state's fire departments and we look forward to doing it in the future. I'll call this meeting adjourned. Thank you.